and welcome. I'm Sheila Balgobin, principal of Simply Improve Health, and I help people to train better and longer and recover more quickly, have improved sleep, and enjoy better quality of life in general using simple plant-based products and simple techniques. As always, my lives are based on things that I observe or actually experience in the days prior uh, to the live, and today is no different. I was recently on a conference call as part of the hashtag Powering Your Purse initiative, and it was a mastermind session with other professional businesswomen and to look at short-term goals and also just looking at where we were in our businesses and perhaps getting feedback from others as to suggestions as how to move things forward. And what I realized is that as my colleagues and I were having this discussion, that in order to be able to develop and grow your business, or just develop and grow in life in general, you need to share yourself with others. And how that came up for me was that I wanted to be able to expand the areas in which I work and how I work. And the only way I can do that is to collaborate with others, to work with others, basically to show others what I can do. And as we were going through this conversation, I realized that the varied experiences and skills and talents that I have are applicable not just in my life, but can also be used to collaborate with others to expand my contacts in my business. For example, for 20 years, I was in international finance and banking, commercial banking, so that I understand international finance very well and can help people with that. Broadcasting, I worked in broadcasting in television as well as radio, both here in the UK and in New York. So that there is experience with regard to broadcasting, public speaking, that I have expertise in. I also realized that without realizing it, I mean, sometimes we need to have other people reflect back to us exactly who we are, or at least who they perceive us to be, for us to understand exactly who we are. And I'll stop here for a moment and share this kind of philosophical question that people ask. And it goes something like, if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it make any noise? Now, logic would, on one hand, would say, of course it makes noise. If it hits something, it's going to make noise. But on a philosophical level, people have been debating this for decades or hundreds of years even. So to me, I realized that this was how you could look at sharing yourself with others. If you don't share yourself with others, if they don't see you, if you're not collaborating with them so that they can feed back to you, then you're like that tree that falls in the forest, which may or may not be heard, and we're not going to debate the philosophy of that. But if you're not out there, if you're not visible, if you're not contacting others, if you're not showing who you are to others, then your talent and skills go to waste. People won't know that you exist. So in essence, you've written yourself out of existence. Humans live in community. We don't live in isolation. We don't thrive in isolation. So it stands to reason that in order to be able to be a success at anything, if just being alive, at the very least, you need to collaborate with others. You need to show others who you are and have them reflect back to you what they perceive you to be, or they perceive you to be. Now, if that reflection isn't to your liking, then there's something you may be able to do about that. You can work on it. But if you're trying to build a business or trying to have successful relationships, you have to be willing and able to share yourself with others. So to get back to my story, it transpired that I was literally kind of sitting on the answers that I needed to be able to get my work more widely recognized and have more people knowing who I am. And the only way I can do that is to share myself. So, sharing my talents, a charity fundraiser. I did that for 15 years. Didn't even occur to me that that's a skill that people may need. I don't know why, but it is a skill that's very useful these days, especially with funding so hard to get for anything. So that's an expertise that I've developed over the years that can be put to use to not only make myself more visible, but to help others. And that's the secret. It's not just about sharing yourself. Here I am, world. It's not about that. It's about, yes, the showing who you are, but it's also about working with the other that reflects back to you. Because if that other isn't there, you're just a tree falling in the forest and nobody hears you. So I would challenge you to think about where in your life you may not be sharing yourself fully, and therefore having that feedback, that reflection of yourself coming back to you from others. If it's something that you recognize as being an issue, then it's something you can work on. You can work on it with coaches, or counseling. I mean, there's different ways to go about it, but certainly it's well worthwhile to investigate where you are and how you are sharing yourself with others. Because if you're not sharing yourself, you won't receive the recognition that we all crave and desire and deserve. We all have talents and skills that can be shared with others, whether it be great with kids, great cook, a brilliant woodworker, whatever the case, a dancer, a photographer. We all have some skill or talent, whether learned or inborn, that should be shared and celebrated, because if it's not used, it will be lost. So my advice to you is check it out and use it or lose it. But most of all, share it. Those are my thoughts on sharing your who you are and celebrating who you are as well. Because if you don't believe and sharing your talents, who's going to? Who's going to celebrate you if you're not your own cheerleader? Thanks so much for listening this evening. Have a wonderful rest of the evening and a great week. And I'll talk to you again soon. And send those comments and love hearts. Keep them coming, and your thumbs up. It makes me, helps me to know that I'm on the right track and that you enjoy what you're listening to. Take care. Have a wonderful evening and week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.